5 ways to diffuse hatred and anger. They say that the most poisonous thing a man can inject on himself is not food nor drinks but their own emotions. Our emotions help us live life in color. The way we feel things make the experience of living even better. However, human emotions aren't always sunshines and rainbows too. There are definitely those that serve only negativity in one's life. An example of this is hatred. This is one of the deadliest poison in the world. Aside from making you feel negative, hatred can also pollute your thoughts and soul. The more you let it marinate in your heart, the more it gets itself into you. If not addressed properly, it can seep into your relationships and eventually destroy it. Hatred can become destructive and mind-consuming, as everyone who has experienced it knows. Particularly if it is spoken by a friend, a family member, or a young child, even the word itself has power. Although hatred can be expressed toward nearly anything, including people, animals, foods, occupations, and even movies, hatred of others is the most damaging. There are primarily 2 types of hatred: inwardly directed hatred or implosion and externally directed hatred or explosion. If you find yourself harboring hatred, today would be a good day to do some wellness house cleaning because both of these things will consume you from the inside out. The destructive and terrible effects of hatred. It might inspire criminal activity that is violent and destructive. In crimes where hatred is a motive, this is typically what occurs. Instances of hate crimes include those committed against members of the LGBTQ+ community, individuals of other races, etc. Blame is at the core of every act of hatred, and this is especially true of hatred directed outside oneself. When one feels like they have been severely abused or wronged by someone, their dissatisfaction and fury may contain the germ of hatred. When you feel an intense hatred for someone, just remember this quote from Siddhartha Buddha that says, "Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned." If you read it carefully, you will notice how it can turn into a proof that the antidote for hatred can actually be just within your means. The hand that slaps also has the potential to become the hand that comforts. It all depends how you choose to use that hand. This notion is also expressed in the Native American narrative about the grandfather telling his little grandson that he had 2 wolves fighting inside of him. The first is the wolf of harmony, compassion, and love. The wolf of fear, greed, and hatred is the other. The young lad inquires, "Which wolf will win, grandfather?" The reply is, "Whichever one you feed." This story aims to teach us 2 separate lessons. The hot coal of the emotion is more likely to burn you the more you cling to hatred. And it gets stronger the more you feed it. Thoughts that can turn into hatred are, nevertheless, under your control. I've given the word hate a new definition. It now stands for the attitude you must adopt in order to fend against this harmful emotional assault on your body and mind. Simply think of H.A.T.E as healing emotionally from aggressive thoughts. To reduce your hatred, take into account the following 5 steps. 1. First and foremost, remove yourself from the provocative situation, disengage from the conversation. Even though it can be challenging to execute in the heat of the moment, with practice it will get simpler. Create a sentence or 2 that you can use over and over to get the conversation going in your favor. The same method applies whether it's an in-person conversation, phone contact, or online connection. It can be as straightforward as, "I need more time to think about this, can we talk again tomorrow?" Another option might be, "I'm not feeling well and would like to address this again at a later date." Disengage politely. Don't send a follow-up email or comment. In this way, you can avoid saying things out of anger that you don't really mean. 2. Go to a quiet place and breathe. Get some fresh air by going outside. If you can also go in your car. If your alternatives are limited, you can even seek safety in a bathroom stall. It doesn't matter. One of the best ways to reduce the adrenal reaction is by slow, deep, regular breathing. You are free to employ any breathing technique you like. Simple breathing exercises include counting slowly to 5, inhaling, and then exhaling while counting to 5 once more. Up till you experience calmness, keep breathing in this pattern. It could take 5 minutes or 20 minutes. Pay close attention to how you're breathing. Just keep an eye on your breath as you take it in and let it out. Simply bring your focus back to the breath whenever your mind wanders or a wave of irate thoughts recurs. This is a very straightforward, fundamental technique for meditating to relax the mind. Medical research has shown that meditation effectively reduces the stress reaction. If you give it a chance, it will succeed. Return to your regularly scheduled activity as soon as you feel at ease. To further de-stress your body, you might also want to take a break and do something you enjoy. The rage could return back during the day or even for several weeks. You can repeat this breathing technique as much as you want until you feel like your anger has been diffused. Repeat until you feel calm already. 3. Try putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Try to see the scenario or problem from the perspective of the other person when you are sufficiently composed, possibly later in the day. Keep in mind the qualities you admire in the person. It might only be one particular action that sets you off. Think about what it is about the circumstance or action that irritates you. Sometimes the thing that irritates you the most is a reflection of a trait in yourself that you detest. The intensity surrounding the issue can be reduced just by understanding this. Try to discover a tiny gap in the rage where you can glimpse a gleam of comprehension, shared experience, tolerance, or even compassion. Use your analytical side to do this. Sometimes all it takes to find a fresh way to solve a problem or issue is to simply give it more room. This phase could be tough to complete if your anger is too intense. If that's the case, repeat steps 1 and 2 each time your anger flares up. If you find it difficult to accept or comprehend the other person, don't be too hard on yourself. Just aspire to being in a position to do so in the future. It takes longer to mend certain rifts than others. Positivity of intention is essential. 4. Forgive yourself for getting angry. Everybody has unhealthy repetitive behaviors from their lifetime, in one way or another. There are those who have poor habits besides you. It is possible to overcome these bad habits, but it takes time, patience, and effort. Treat yourself with kindness. 5. Examine your readiness to forgive the other parties involved and let go. It's understandable if you're not prepared. Make a sincere wish to be able to forgive in the future once more, and then follow the steps above when thoughts of resentment or wrath surface. Once the wrath subsides, you can consider forgiveness again. For sure, we've all been a subject or target of hatred before. It feels upsetting, frightening, and leaves you so emotional, right? In fact, studies have shown that the effects of hatred actually show up physically too. Aside from it causing emotional devastation, it can also cause you or the person you hate physical harm. Other sources even see hatred as similar to H-bombs. You might remember that real H-bombs or hydrogen bombs get the majority of their energy from a process known as nuclear fission. Nuclear fission sets off the initial explosion of a nuclear weapon in addition to creating energy. Similar to this, hatred generates energy for destructive power. And the strong animosity, fear, rage, or sense of injury one experiences is what actually causes the fission, which sparks the explosion. If you feel like life is making you face this intense dislike again, there are 2 choices of action you can choose from. First, to just let yourself sink to the hater's level and toss a few H-bombs of your own, or you can recognize this behavior as a character flaw and not respond in kind. Hate is such an intense emotion. If someone filled with anger suddenly decides to display their hatred outwardly, they can cause havoc with the physical health and emotional well-being of the people around them or their own. Always remember that anger and hatred are actually 2 things that work like hot coal. You'll be healthier and happier the sooner you get rid of this harmful emotion because it can do less harm to you. Hatred will flourish if it is fed. You will develop if you face it, comprehend it, and break it down. That's it for today's video. You can leave any of your questions, suggestions, or reactions in the comments section below. We'd love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can get notified whenever a new video is up. Until next time. Thank you for watching.